you ever hear voices in the wind? Noises behind unopened doors. Closing your eyes might help for others, but for you, there's always the After Dark podcast. Welcome back, guys, to the After Dark podcast. And before I continue, let me put out the welcome mat. Welcome to the After Dark podcast season 2. There we go. Fins, how are you doing tonight? Hopefully you're having a really good evening, or in your case, night, I believe. You might want to check that unopened doors and open them, because we are always terrified of disembodied voices than anything else. So I got a couple things to tell you guys, because I'm a dingus, and I forgot to tell you guys when we were playing Splatoon. So first and foremost, let me go get my phone, because I forgot it. Hold up, give me 1 second. Okay, I'm back. My phone was like right across the room. Yeah, it's 11. I know, Vince. It's so dark over there. You live so far away. But, you live so far away, yet we are all still under the same starry night sky, right? So, and it's all about fun. Friends can be anywhere. Friends can be, miles away, or they can be right next door. But, if you're hearing disembodied voices behind unopened doors, Fins, I guess you can offer them a plate of cookies or something. Get them in the good mood. Oh, that was a mouse. Get them in the good mood, hopefully not to disturb you anymore. But I do have my tea here. It is mint flavor this time around. But that is not what I was gonna tell you guys. Yeah, it's at your iPad, Fins. It's definitely the what do you call this? It's Streamlabs. I don't know why it's so late, but it's like around like 5 seconds late, or 10 seconds late. I'm not too entirely sure. I did go to see, and I wanted to see the thing, but anyways, I'm getting off track here. Okay, look, listen. I forgot to mention 2 things when we were playing Splatoon. All right, so one, I got a code. I got a close beta code for the game, The Walking Dead. What was it called? Let me see if I can still remember correctly. It's called. Let me see. I'll tell you guys right now. It's I forgot what's it called. But yeah, and I played it, and I don't know. Like I was gonna like play tomorrow for as the live stream game that I was gonna play, but I'm not too sure anymore, because I played it and it feels like Left 4 Dead for some reason. It's called Overkill's The Walking Dead. There we go. I don't know if you guys heard about it or not, but I did get a beta key for it on my email, and I get to play it. I gotta play it today, and so its initial release date is gonna be this November 6th, 2018. And like I said, I played it before, and to me, it just felt like playing what's the game? Left 4 Dead 2. So I don't know. Maybe I'll think about it. We still have tomorrow. Okay, that's that. Next, that's good. That's not delayed, Vince. Hopefully, you're caught up with everything right now. But next, I found a mod pack on the game Minecraft. So maybe the episodes are gonna come back on Sunday and Wednesday again. I'm not too sure if I'm gonna keep 2 days to Minecraft. I'll probably just be one. But yeah, I was playing it today as well, and you know what? It's very interesting. We're just gonna have to wait until we get to either Wednesday or Sunday again. But without further ado, let's continue from where we left off yesterday. Right? Yesterday we were reading some stories from the website called scaryforkids.com, and trust me, this is more than just being scary for kids, because this is next level stuff right here. One thing is for sure, the one that really did impact me the most. Yeah, Vince, Minecraft. Like, it's been like what, 2 weeks? But yeah, the one that really impacted me the most, the story, was definitely the couch one, where like the guy just all of a sudden like goes inside the couch, and you know, he's basically talking to the reader, But you know, that was very interesting, very interesting. But you know, we'll move on the train to this story called The Thin Man. Okay, Thin Man Scary story about a boy who claims he's seen some stuff. Okay, so here we go. I had a best friend. His name was Billy. We went to the same school together and hung out all the time. Then, one day Billy stopped coming to school. I didn't see him for weeks. There were rumors that he had suffered a nervous breakdown. One evening, when my parents were out, there was a knocking on my door. When I answered it, Billy was standing there. He was acting very strange. His eyes were tired and bloodshot, and he looked like he was very nervous. He kept looking around and glancing over his shoulder. "I need to talk to you," he said. I invited him in and closed the door. He sat down on the couch, but he couldn't relax. Something was bothering him. He was twitching and his legs were shaking. "Are you okay?" I asked. My parents think I'm crazy," he said. Everyone thinks I'm crazy, even though I thought I was crazy for a while." "And are you crazy?" I asked. Bailey let out a humorous chuckle. "Look out the window," he said. "Why?" "Just look. Do me a favor. Look out the window and tell me what you see." I decided to humor him, so I opened the curtains and peered out. "What do you see?" he asked. "I see some houses, some cars, street lights." "Exactly," he said. "And do you notice anything strange?" Not really," I said. "You see those street lights?" he asked. "They're supposed to be on, but they're not. They're all off. How could every street light on the street be off? Who do you think did that?" "I don't know," I said. "Who?" Billy lowered his voice and whispered, "The Thin Man." "What are you talking about?" I asked in astonishment. "I heard rumors about him before," Billy said, "but I thought it was just an urban legend. It's not. The Thin Man is real. He hates the streetlights. He looks just like a normal man at first, but when he unfolds himself, he's really tall and really thin, just like a streetlight. He's dressed all in gray, just like a streetlight. He hides behind them. When it starts to get dark outside and the streetlights aren't on, you wouldn't even know he was there." "How do you know this?" I asked. "Because I've seen him," Billy replied. "A few weeks ago, I was kicking a football around in the park and I accidentally kicked it into a bush. I went in to get it, and that's when I saw him. He seemed just like an ordinary man, standing in the streets. He was looking up and down the block, and then when he thought nobody was watching, he just sort of unfolded himself. He turned to something tall and thin. He hid behind the streetlights. All of a sudden, I heard a click, and the lights went out. when he just sort of slid into the next street, and I heard another click, and that's when that one went out too. He did it all down the block, click slide, click slide, click slide, until the lights were all out. That's when he noticed me. All of a sudden, our eyes met. I knew that he had seen me, and he knew that I had seen him. I just started running and I didn't look back. When I got home, I locked the doors. For a long time after that, I was afraid to leave the house when I realized that it was only dangerous at night. It's usually safe during the day. He only comes out at night. He hates being seen. Nobody believes me. My parents took me to a psychiatrist and she didn't believe me either. Do you believe me? Sure, Billy, I said, trying to humor him. I believe you. No, you don't, he said at this point. Anyway, even if you don't believe me, I thought I better warn you. After all, you are my best friend. And with that, Billy got up and said goodbye. At the front door, he looked all around to make sure it was safe, and then took off home. I watched him until he was out of sight. Then, I went back inside. I felt really sad. I felt like my best friend had lost his mind. That was until the next morning, when the police found Billy. He had been folded. There was no blood and guts, but every bone in his body had been broken. He had been folded up into a tiny little bundle. The police didn't even know what they found at first until they picked it up and saw his flattened face. His mother had to go down to the police station and identify him. When they brought her into the room to show her his remains, she fainted. He was just a tiny bundle of flesh and bones and cloth and hair. He had been folded. Ever since I heard the news, I've been on edge. I can't stop thinking about crazy things about what Billy told me. Suddenly, they don't seem so crazy. I haven't been able to sleep. I'm tired and my eyes are bloodshot. I'm nervous all the time, and I was always trying to find myself looking over my shoulder. This morning when I left to school, I counted the street lamps on the road. When I came home this evening, I counted them again. There was one too many. All you know is from older kids? I know what you mean, Vince. We're all grown kids, but you know. Yeah, you know, I mean, this stuff ain't for kids. I'm telling you, man, because, oh my god, that's some creepy stuff, you know. I mean, if you're going down the street just counting the street lamps, then you know something's up. You know that something's out there waiting for you after your best friend had been pretty much folded up into a cube. That's scary, you know. Like, I wouldn't want to find my best friend being folded up, you know. I mean, this is why this is what pretty much like pisses me off about horror movies too. Like, I know it's meant to be like written that way, where like another character isn't supposed to believe, but by God, if I don't know, it just pisses me off a lot. It's like I told my mom one day, like, you know, if I'm gonna find a girlfriend, I'm gonna be like, okay, you know, first question, and this is like the most important one: do you believe in ghosts? That's it, you know, because I don't want her to be like coming to me and be like, hey, yo, I think I heard something. And I'll be like, I told you, I told you, there's ghosts everywhere. Jesus Christ. But hey, you know, that's maybe another story for the future. Maybe, who knows, maybe by the next season of the After Dark podcast, something good will happen. I don't know. I don't want to jinx it. But I do get what you're saying, Vince. This isn't for kids, you know what I mean? Oof. These are straight up for big kids. These are like pull-ups. Anyway, they're for big kids now. We're going to the other story called Stairs. It is based on an old horror tale by Robert E. Howard, which in turn was inspired by an African American folklore. So, what do we know about folklore and urban legends? You know, they have some truth to it. You know, no matter where you go, they're going to be like, oh, this and this happened. And then they'll be like, but you know what? It's just an urban legend. You know, but believe everything. That's what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? Something's out there to be, you know, for people to be making these stories up. Most are big kids and few are little kids. Exactly, Vince. That's true. So, we move right along to Stairs right now. Two men named Banner and Griswold were hiking in a lonely country road, but no cars could stop for them. They were tired and sick of walking. The sun was setting fast, and they needed to find a place to spend the night. They came across an old deserted house and decided to take shelter inside. The garden was overgrown with weeds and bushes. The front door cracked open in rusty hinges, and a carpet full of dust lay on the floor. The two men took some tins out of their backpacks and ate a small meal. Then, they unrolled the blankets on the floor, made themselves comfortable, and fell asleep. In the middle of the night, Griswold suddenly awoke from a troubled sleep. It was dark, and he was shivering with the cold. All of a sudden, he heard a strange noise. It was a high-pitched whistling sound. Just then, he noticed his friend. Banner was standing in the shadows, listening intensely. He looked as if he was in some kind of trance. Then, the man began walking slowly up the stairs, his boots clomping in the wood steps. The shrill whistling grew louder. Griswold wanted to call out to his friend and tell him to come back, but the words died in his throat. Banner kept walking up the stairs and eventually disappeared from view. Suddenly, the footsteps stopped, and Griswold held his breath. He waited and waited, then he heard an awful scream that split the silence of the night and almost made him jump out of his skin. Then the footsteps resumed and came back down the stairs. Griswold was trembling with fear as he saw a pair of boots walking slowly down the stairs. In the moonlight, he could see a groping hand in the banister. A ghastly chill ran down Griswold's spine when he saw the other hand. It was just clutching a bloody hatchet. Then, he caught sight of his friend's face. It was deathly pale. His eyes were glazed out and his mouth was twisted into a ghoulish grin. Blood was dripping down his forehead from a huge gash that almost split his skull in two. Griswold let out a blood-curdling shriek and fled from the house. He ran blindly through the pitch-black night, desperately trying to get away from the old house. He ran and ran, all the time imagining his friends chasing him with his bloody axe and his bloody head and his ghastly death grin. He ran and ran until he collapsed, exhausted. In the morning, he managed to find a police station and told the sheriff what he had seen. Together, they went back to the old house to check it out. Griswold's blood ran cold at the thought of what they might find. The sheriff opened the creaking door and looked inside. Griswold peered nervously over his shoulder on the floor. He saw his friend. Banner was laying face down in a pool of blood. His head almost cleaved in half. His dead hand still clutching the handle of the hatchet. The blade of the hatchet was embedded in the floor at exactly the same spot where Griswold's head had been lying the night before. The sheriff searched the house from top to bottom, but he didn't find another living soul. Wow. So pretty much what happened is, I was reading a comment right here and somebody said, Dr. Dead said, I don't get it. What happened is, Uh, okay, listen. There's two types of people. Okay, two types of. You probably heard this one. There's always two types of people. One person this and one person that. But in this story, the two types of people that I'm talking about, either a weak-minded person like Banner and a strong-minded person like Griswold. Griswold didn't get hypnotized from the whistling he heard at night, but Banner did. Banner, being that type of person, weak mind, and just let himself go, and pretty much got possessed by whatever was whistling and tried to kill his friend as well. But Griswold was quick enough to get out of the house in time before it happened. So don't be weak-minded people. Say no to everything. In other words, and you know, have a strong will. Those are the people that always come out on top. This one's interesting. Whoa, okay. Oh, okay. This one is called White Lies. Now, check this out, okay? Okay, Vince, thank you so much for coming. You know, I really do appreciate you staying in the chat and staying in the live stream with me and talking. I really do appreciate it, man. If you have a chance, though, hear the white lies when you come. If you come back to the podcast, you know, if you watch the replay, just come back to this story, White Lies. This is why I was laughing right now. But yes, so you have yourself a really good night, Vince, and hope you have a really safe one too. So this story is called White Lies. If you guys know, my gamer tag is last dinosaur 681. You know, it's my gamer tag. You'll probably see last dinosaur 681. If you see it in any other game, that's probably me. Okay. My pen name, however, my pen name is pretty much like my artist name. I guess you can say that. It's also like, you know, a little nickname I gave myself. It's called Chiaki, right? Chiaki. And this is why I was laughing. The story begins like this. There was a young girl named Chiaki. Oh my god. She was playing in her bed when she heard her mother calling from the kitchen. She raced downstairs. Chiaki, come here. I have something to ask you, her mother said. What is it? Asked Chiaki. Do you know who ate the cakes that were meant for the guests? No. I don't know, Chiaki replied. Did you eat the cakes? Her mother asked. No, Mama. I didn't, the little girl replied. Chiaki was wringing her hands nervously. Chiaki, I know when you're lying, her mother said. A thief always starts out in life by lying, and the police always catches a thief, and the thief is always punished. Do you know what I'm saying, Chiaki? Chiaki couldn't bear the guilt anymore, and she started sobbing. Mama, I'm sorry, she wailed. I ate the cake. I'm sorry. There, stop crying, her mother said, as she held her in her hands. I was angry because you lied to me. Now you've told the truth. Everything is going to be fine. I don't like liars, so never lie to me again. Okay, said Chiaki. Now dry your tears, said your mother. We'll go to the store and buy more cakes. Okay, Mama. Chiaki's mother had a baby when she came home from the hospital. Chiaki was delighted. This is Nana, her mother said. You're her big sister. You have to treat her with love and care. I will, Mama, Chiaki said. But after the baby arrived, her mother didn't seem to have any time for her. The baby cried all day and night. Chiaki couldn't bear to hear it screaming and bawling. She couldn't concentrate. She couldn't even think. Eventually, she had enough. Mama, I'm sick and tired of hearing her cry, she shouted. I can't study with all this racket. Can you please shut her up? You need to be more understanding, her mother said. Nana's just a baby. You're her big sister. But you're always with Nana, she cried. You never have time for me anymore. I'd like to spend some time with you too, Mama. I like to go to the store with you, to the park with you, and even cuddle with you. You're old enough to go to all those places by yourself, her mother said. You shut your mouth and stop being so selfish. I hate you, Chiaki cried, as she burst into tears. She ran upstairs, slammed her door, and locked herself in her room. That evening, she refused to come out for dinner. Instead, she stayed in her room and brought it out about Nana. The night Chiaki had a very disturbing dream. In the nightmare, she saw herself walking through the house in darkness. She went into her mother's room and tiptoed over to the baby's crib. Then she picked her little sister and carried her downstairs. In the dream, Chiaki opened the back door and brought Nana out to the garden. There, by the light of the moon, she fetched a shovel from the shed, dug a little hole in the wet grass, and buried her little sister alive. When she awoke in the morning, Chiaki was shaking and covered in sweat. She felt sick to her stomach. The nightmare had seemed so real, she was horrified. Mom was right, she thought. Nana's just a baby. I'm her big sister. I need to learn to put up with things like this. I'm going to ask Mom to forgive me. Just then her mother burst into the room. Tears were streaming down her face. Chiaki, do you know where Nana is? She asked. When I awoke this morning, she wasn't in her crib. Do you know anything? The little girl shook her head. Are you sure? Her mother demanded. You really don't know anything. Do you swear? Chiaki gulped. Yes, I swear, she said weakly. All right, her mother said. Help me find her. They searched the house from top to bottom, but they couldn't find Nana. They ran up the stairs and ran down the street from looking for the baby, but she was nowhere to be found. Finally, her mother fell to her knees and began sobbing uncontrollably. Where did Nana go? She wailed. Where could she be? She doesn't even know how to walk. How could she disappear like this? Chiaki was wringing her hands nervously again. Chiaki, you know something, her mother screamed. Chiaki, you know what happened to Nana, don't you? No, said Chiaki. I don't know anything. Chiaki, I warned you not to lie to me again, her mother screamed. I'm not lying, Chiaki mumbled. I know when you're lying, her mother shouted. Tell me where she is. Where is Nana? Chiaki couldn't bear the guilt anymore. She looked at the window and pointed at the little mound of earth in the garden. No, her mother cried. Dear God, no, this can't be true. Mama, the little girl sobbed. She tried to grab her mother's hand. Don't touch me, her mother screamed. You killed Nana? Didn't you? You killed her because you were jealous. I didn't mean to, Mama, Chiaki cried. I didn't mean to. Her mother flew into a violent rage, grabbed her daughter by the neck, and began choking the life out of her. She squeezed and squeezed until she couldn't squeeze anymore. By the time she came to her senses, Chiaki lay dead in the kitchen floor. Suddenly the doorbell rang. The mother got to her feet and answered it. When she opened the door, she saw her neighbors standing outside. He was holding Nana in her arms. We found her crawling outside, he said. She must have gotten out of their crib during the night. Good thing we found her before something bad happened. Wow. Okay, first and foremost, I haven't read this story before. Okay, Chiaki came to me a long time ago. The name Chiaki came to me like years ago. I'm talking about decades ago. Okay, and seeing a story here with my name on it. Yes, I am claiming Chiaki as my name now. It's kind of weird because I apparently died. Okay, I got choked to death by Mom. Thanks, Mama. I mean, I wasn't lying this time, but at least Nana's okay. Jesus Christ, how are you gonna explain this to Dad? Oh God. Wow. You see, so basically the thing is, don't lie. Okay. Whatever you do, don't lie. If you lied before, make it right. That's all I have to say. Just make it right, or try to make it right. Because, damn, I got killed. I'm Ghost, and this is pretty much. I should have started with this story in season 1, episode 1, because I apparently died. And what you're hearing right now is a ghost. I am the ghost of the former Chiaki. do apologize, but your host, bit the dust like in season 1, episode 1. So, I do apologize. Oh, God. Oh, God. That was a good story, by the way. It's just like the story about the little girl who cried wolf. We don't, we don't want to, be telling lies because of such things can happen, right? I like drinking tea because it calms my nerves, Yeah, you may think that tea is just, hot water with the taste. And, you're right. You're right. Tea is just hot water with taste, but it has some benefits to it. You're drinking hot water, soothes your throat. If you're having a cold, this baby can help you. You know what I'm saying? You have a sore throat, tea can help you. So, give tea a shot. Leave the sodas behind. Tea is what it is. So, aside from me getting murdered by Mama, let's go to another story called The Girl in the Mirror. Okay, yeah. We don't want to read the little synopsis, so this was a good link. So here we go. When I was a child, I spent a lot of time alone. My parents lived in an old house way out of the countryside, and there were no other children my age around. I had a little brother, but he was only a baby at the time, so I couldn't play with him. I was only a little lonely. The old country house where we lived had a lot of small rooms. In the corridor, there was a closet with a sliding door where my father would store his tools. I loved to go there and play with his tools. It was fun for me at the time. One day I found an old mirror in the back of the closet. It was an oval shape with a bronze frame. Was everything ordinary, and everything was ornate. It was very ornate. Even though it was quite old and rusty, the glass was very clear, and I could see myself perfect. One night when I was playing in the closet, I happened to glance at the mirror and saw something that shocked me. In the reflection, I saw a strange girl standing behind me, frightened. I turned around quickly, but there was nobody there. When I looked back in the mirror, I was confused. The little girl was still there. I guess because I was a child, I wasn't scared of her. I just thought it was strange that she only appeared in the mirror. The little girl had long, dark hair and pale white skin. Through the mirror, she looked at me and laughed. "Hello," she said with a smile. We started to talk to each other. The girl told me to call her Nana. Hold up. What? Is this story tied up to the other one? Let's continue. We would talk all the time. My parents must have wondered why I spent so much time in the closet talking to myself, but they never took the mirror away from me. It seemed that Nana-chan was not visible to adults. One day when I was talking to Nana-chan, I said, "I'm lonely. I wish I had some friends I could play with." "Come over here and play with me," Nana-chan replied. "I can come over there?" I asked. "How do I do that?" Nana's face became troubled when she lowered her voice. "Do you know?" she whispered. "Oh, I don't know," she whispered. "I'll ask." I wondered who she was going to ask, but all I could hear was silence. Somehow I felt like whoever it was, they didn't want me to listen. The next day when I spoke to Nana, she said happily, I know how you can come over here now. Come on, let's play." I was happy, but I remembered that my parents had always warned me that I had to tell them before I went anywhere. "Okay, but I'll have to ask my mother," I replied. Nana's face became a little troubled again, and she said, "Don't tell anyone about this. We may not be able to meet each other if you tell someone else." I stayed silent because I didn't want to disobey my parents. Then Nana-san said, So you'll come and play with me tomorrow, okay? Promise? Yeah, I replied reluctantly. I promise. Nana reached out and touched the surface of the mirror with her little finger. Pinky swear? She asked with a smile. I reached out and pressed the tip of my little finger in the mirror beside hers. Pinky swear, I said. I thought I could feel a slight warmth through the glass. That night, I didn't sleep very much. I didn't tell my parents about Nana-chan, but as I lay there in the darkness, questions were swirling around my head. How would I enter the mirror? What kind of place was over there? Why wouldn't Nana come over here? If I went over there, how would I come back over here? As I contemplated such things, I grew more and more anxious. I became a little scared of Nana-chan. The next day, I didn't go to see Nana. I avoided her the day after that, and the day after that. I didn't go near the closet all week. In fact, I never went into the closet again. The weeks and months passed by quickly, and I grew older. The months and years passed, and I grew up. I left home to go to high school in the town. After I graduated, I started working in a nearby town. I didn't go home very much. Eventually, I met a girl, and we got married. By the time, I had forgotten all about Nana. Shortly after we got married, my wife found out she was pregnant. She went to visit her parents for a while. I was all alone in the house, so I sometimes visited my own parents for dinner. They still lived in the same house. One night I decided to stay over and slept in my old bedroom. In the middle of the night, I woke up and went to use the toilet. While I was washing my hands, I happened to glance in the mirror. A sliding door in the middle of the corridor was open. It was a closet where I played as a child. I thought the door had been closed when I was in the toilet. When I went to the toilet, I turned around and was shocked to see the door was closed. After all, however, when I looked back in the mirror, the door was open. A chill went down my spine and my hands began to shake. I thought I saw the door sliding back slightly into the darkness. At that moment, I remembered Nana-chan. I was overcome by fear, but it's impossible to tear my eyes away from the mirror. The door was moving after all, in the mirror's reflection. A white mist was floating across the darkness in the back of the closet. As I stared, it formed into a familiar face. The smiling face of Nana-chan. I think I must have fainted. The next thing I remember was waking up on the floor. It was morning and my parents were still in bed. I must have been dreaming, I told myself. Just a creepy dream. I wasn't comfortable staying in my parents' house, so after breakfast, I went to my own home. My apartment has an underground parking lot, so I pulled into my reserved space and parked the car. Just as I was about to get out of the car, I glanced in the rearview mirror and did a double take. There, in the mirror, was the face of Nana-chan. I looked back in surprise, but there was no one in the back seat. I looked back at the rearview mirror, and Nana-chan was still there. She was staring at me over my shoulder, and our eyes met. She looked exactly the same, long dark hair, pale white skin, and all this time, nothing had changed. I was trembling and couldn't take my eyes off her. Eventually, Nana laughed. "Hello," she said with a smile. I felt like I was going to be sick. "Why didn't you come back at that time?" she asked. "All this time, I've been waiting for you." I was silent. I didn't know what to say. I couldn't find the words. "Hey," she said, "come over here and let's play from now on." In the reflection, her hand slowly stretched out towards me. "Let's play here forever," she said. "It's no good," I screamed. I didn't mean to say it out loud. "Nana-chan, I'm sorry, I can't come over. I won't go." Nana was silent and her hand stopped in midair. Trembling, I grabbed the door handle, and with all my strength, and spoke in a small voice, like the little boy I had been a long time ago. "I have a wife now. We're having a baby. So I can't. I ended up at a loss of words with my head in my hands. I was shaking and shivering uncontrollably, and eventually I looked up in the mirror. Nana-chan was still there. I see, she said. You became an adult, and you don't want to play with me anymore. Her voice sounded so sad and lonely. I can't, I said. Nana-chan laughed and smiled. It seemed like such an innocent smile at that moment. I really thought Nana-chan would forgive me for breaking her promise. Nana-chan, I began, but she cut me off. If you won't play with me, I'll just have to find someone else, she said. Someone just like you. And then suddenly she was gone. Before I could fully understand her last words, she was gone. Once and for all. Nana never appeared to me again. That evening, my wife called to me to tell me she had suffered a miscarriage over the baby. Our baby was dead. Then I finally understood what Nana-chan meant when she said, someone like you. I mean, next time you buy a mirror, or you see a mirror like this right there, you know, drench it in holy water. Wash that whole section with holy water, because, you know, we don't know if Nana-chan's gonna be there. But at the same time, oh, you know what? Now I get it. Now I get it, because if his kid died, you know, like miscarriage and all, then the same thing would have happened to him if he would have gone over to the other side of the mirror. Wow. So he would have died too. But let's say that wouldn't have happened, and let's say that, you know, he was just gonna go over and that's it. Let's move on to another story called Date Night. Let me take a small drink of my tea. Lovely tea. And we begin. A girl and a boy were walking home one night. The happy couple had been out on a date. They decided to take a shortcut through an old graveyard. It was midnight, and the strange fog curled in the headstones. The girl clutched her boyfriend's hand tightly, and they quickened their pace. It looks like Michael Jackson video. It looks like the Michael Jackson video, she said the girl nervously. Yeah, the boy chuckled. Maybe the dead will rise from the grave and start dancing for us. Just then, in the distance, she heard a howl, and a wail, and a moan. She stopped in her tracks and peered into the darkness. Don't be scared, the boy laughed. It's probably just an animal, or the wind, or maybe our imagination. The girl swallowed hard. She had a bad feeling that something terrible was about to happen. She then looked at her boyfriend and noticed a strange expression in his face. Why do you walk like that? She asked abruptly. Like what? The girl asked surprised. Like you're bow-legged, the boy said. It's weird. The girl bit her lips. She didn't say anything. She loved the boy, and she thought he loved her. They were planning on getting married next month, and she didn't want to get into a stupid fight. And you have spots in your face, the boy said. It's disgusting. The girl bit her lip. And you stink, the boy continued. There's always a stench of stale sweat coming from you. It makes me want to puke. The girl let go of the boy's hand. Why are you being so mean? She asked. I thought you loved me. How could anyone love you? The boy growled. You with your weird legs and your spotty face and your red stench and your fat bum. Okay, hold up. And that makes you look like a pig? If I was a girl and I had a fat bum like that, I would be embarrassed to live. I'd kill myself. You're a pig. And he starts making pig noise. Hold up. Pause here for a bit. What? Okay, I don't know where he's from, but you know, if someone has a big booty, you know, why is there shame in that? You know, Jesus Christ. Hmm. Let's continue. This is kind of pissing me off a little bit. The girl burst into tears and wailed, "If you hate me so much, then why are we getting married?" Suddenly, the boy clutched his head and fell to his knees. His face was twisted in pain. "It hurts," he cried. "My head is ripping apart. My skin is burning up. I can't stand it." "What's wrong?" asked the girl, trying to comfort him. As she watched in horror, the boy scratched and clawed at his face, and the skin peeled away, revealing the slimy red flesh beneath. She gasped and backed away. The boy started tearing the skin off his face with his bare hands, cackling like a maniac. He gouged out his own eyes and ripped off his nose and chewed off his own lips. His teeth clacked and grinned at her. "The reason I'm marrying you is I want to eat your fatty pig meat," he screeched. The girl screamed and ran away, but the boy was chasing after her. His face just a lump of exposed flesh. She desperately tried to escape from the shambling monstrosity behind her. Just as he reached the gates of the graveyard, a slimy hand grabbed her by the collar and threw her into the ground. He pounced on top of her and screamed and screamed and screamed. The girl woke up in a cold sweat. She was home in her own bed. Her husband's arms were wrapped around her. She breathed a sigh of relief. It had been all a horrible nightmare. She nudged her husband. "Are you awake?" she whispered. "Yeah," he mumbled. "Why did you marry me?" she asked. There was no reply. She asked again, "Why did you marry me?" There was a long silence. Then her husband mumbled, "Because I want to eat your fatty pig meat." Wow. I don't know what to say about this one. I seriously don't. That was my last sip of tea, and it was very enjoyable. Now, first and foremost, you know, love yourself, people. Like, love yourself truly. You know, whether you look one way or the other, you know. Okay, what I'm trying to say is, if you're gonna change, don't change for the person. You know, if you already have, like, you know, a boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife, and you know, all of a sudden he or she goes like, "Oh man, you know, you're gaining weight." You know, don't change for that person because he's a jerk. He or she's a jerk. One, two, change for yourself because you want to change. You know what I mean? Oh boy, I didn't want to keep reading it, but it was too late. I was so engulfed in the story that, oh, you know, wow. I don't know. Just don't change for others. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay? Damn it. Whoever's gonna come, like, in front of you, they're gonna love you for who you are, not for what you become. So, keep that in mind. Let's keep going to another one before I get even more pissed. God damn. Oh God. Okay. Let's go to this one. This one's interesting. Oh, actually, you know what? No. Let's go to this one. This one's called Policeman. Okay, so this is based on a popular urban legend from Japan and Korea. It's called The Policeman. A few years ago, I lived in a large apartment complex in the city. The building was 10 stories high, and my apartment was on the 8th floor. It was a bad area with a lot of crime. I was planning to move out soon, so I never bothered to get to know any of my neighbors. One Friday night, I came home from a hard day at work, and I was feeling very tired. I got into the elevator and pressed the button for my floor. When the doors opened, there was a man standing there. He was dressed in a long overcoat, and his hat was pulled down over his eyes. "Hello," I tried, being polite. The man didn't answer. As I got out of the elevator, he pushed past through me roughly and got into the elevator and started pressing the button. What a jerk, I mumbled. I unlocked my apartment door and went inside. I went straight to the bathroom. While I was washing my hands, I happened to glance in the mirror and noticed something strange. There was a dark red stain on my sleeve on the sleeve of my shirt. It looked like blood. Then I remember the rude guy who had bumped me in the elevator. It made me feel sick. I didn't know where the blood came from, but I had my suspicions. I immediately locked the front door. Then I took a shower and threw the bloodstained shirt into the trash. I didn't even sleep very well that night. The next day was Saturday, and I had a date with an attractive young woman I had just met. I was getting ready to leave, and I heard my doorbell ring. Who could it be? I murmured in irritation. I was already late for my date, and I didn't want to waste any more time. Peering through the peephole, I saw a policeman standing outside. "What is it?" I asked loudly through the door. "I'm sorry to disturb you, sir," he said politely. "I want to ask you some questions. There was a murder last night in the apartment next to yours." I was late for my date. I didn't want to get involved. "Sorry, officer, I didn't see anything," I lied. "But you may be able to help us," said the policeman. "Did you see anybody suspicious? Can you at least open the door to talk?" "I wasn't home last night," I lied again. "Sorry, officer, I can't help you." "All right, sir," the policeman replied. "Thank you for your time." He walked off to the hallway and continued I continued to get ready for my date. For the next few days, I felt nervous. My next door neighbor had been murdered. The neighborhood was really unsafe. I was glad I was moving out soon. I also felt very guilty about lying to the policeman. After all, I had seen the murderer. Even though I hadn't seen his face, perhaps there was something I could have told the police that would help to catch the killer. Sometimes crimes are solved by a little detail. One morning before I went to work, I was wondering if the police had managed to solve the case. I turned on the TV and watched the news, but they didn't mention anything about the murder. When I was leaving for work, I noticed a bad smell in the hallway. It seemed to be coming from the apartment next door to mine. I had a sinking feeling at the pit of my stomach. Hairs on the back of my neck stood up, and then I went to find the building manager and told him about the smell. When I mentioned the murder, he said there hadn't been any murder in the building. I convinced him to come back up to my floor. When he smelled the stench, he used his master key to open the neighbor's apartment. Both of us were horrified by what we found. My neighbor was on the floor, surrounded in a pool of blood. The smell was overpowering. He had been lying there for a few days. So I pretty much know what's going on here. And you know what? Speaking of things, wasn't there somebody like that over here too? Like disguising himself as a police officer and just to get inside like the homes of people? I'm not too sure, but don't just open the door to somebody. If it's the police, they could always talk to you from the other side of the door. If they want to come into your apartment, let them show you their warrant. Be safe, people. Be safe. Okay. Well, it's about that time of the night and the time of the podcast when I tell you guys in very, very, very sincerely, that if you guys are listening to my podcast and you guys are in a car, I do hope that the car is turned off or at least parked. I'm not talking about just like staying in the red lights or staying in the stop sign. No, parked, keys off and everything, because I don't want you guys to get hurt. So if you guys want to hear my podcast, put me on speaker, hook me up to the auxiliary cable, and hear me in the four corners of your car. My lovely voice is on for an hour and something minutes. So come on, you guys have a lot of time to hear. And besides, the podcast is up all the time in my channel. So if you guys are listening to the podcast in the car, I do hope that you guys are not paying attention to your phones and are paying attention to the road. Because it's a hazard, okay? Like over here where I live, I'm not kidding you, everybody that I see in a car, whether it be in a stop sign or just driving down the road, there's always somebody playing with the phone. So please, don't play with your phones while driving. Text and drive, don't call and drive. Don't drink and drive, and don't smoke and drive, because they're all bad. If it's an emergency, just, scoot yourself to the side of the road. Put the hazard lights on, and then answer the phone and be like, okay, what's going on? What's the emergency that I've been taken away from trying to drive? But don't do it while driving, because that's always bad. So please, 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 put your phones away, or put me on speaker and listen to my beautiful voice on speaker, pretty much. So with that being said, we'll move on to another story called The Red Dress. Granny locked me in my room, and she won't let me out. She said it's because I was bad. Sometimes I do bad things, ever since my mom went away. Granny said my mommy's in heaven. I don't know how she got there. I can still remember mommy. I remember her long black hair and her dark eyes. I remember her red lips and her white teeth. I remember her soft skin, and I even remember the way she smelled. Her red dress still smelled like her. It's hanging in the wardrobe in her bedroom. Granny keeps mommy's room locked. She says I'm not allowed in there, but I know where she hides the key. Sometimes when Granny falls asleep, I sneak into the room and I smell mommy's red dress. I have a friend called Marianne. She lives across the street. Sometimes she comes over to my house to play. She came over today. We were playing with dolls. Granny told me, don't go into your mother's room. Okay, I said. When Granny took her nap, I told Marianne, let's play dress up. I took the key from the Granny's hiding place and unlocked the door to mommy's bedroom. We went inside. It was almost too dark to see. This is where my mommy lives, I said. I don't have a mommy, Marianne said. That made me angry. I opened the wardrobe and took out the red dress. The red silk dress. This is my mommy's dress, I said. I held it up to her. It stinks, Marianne said. It does not, I said. It smells like flowers. It smells like dead things, she said. That made me even more angry. Who's that? Asked Marianne. She was pointing at a picture. That's my mommy. Isn't she beautiful? She's ugly, Marianne said. She has creepy eyes and her teeth are all weird. No, she hasn't, I said. She looks like the most beautiful girl in the world. She looks like a dead thing, Marianne said. That made me the angriest of all. I don't remember what happened then. I think I heard Marianne screaming. I don't remember why. It was dark and I almost couldn't see. I couldn't hear anything except Marianne screaming. I think something bad happened. Then I remember Granny shouting at me. She was crying too. She took the red dress from me. She was really rough and she kept hitting me. I was crying too. Granny fetched a washcloth and wiped the blood off my face. Damn, son. She told me over and over I was bad. Then she dragged me all the way upstairs and locked me in my room. I looked at the window and saw Granny in the backyard. She was burying something in the shovel. I must have done something really bad. Oh, so she killed the friend. I think she killed Marianne 100% because, there's an old saying that I forgot. One, I forgot, and two, I wouldn't know how to translate it in English. But there's an old saying that we only see, it goes something along the lines that in our eyes we see pretty things. When others say nay or something like that. I don't know. But a mother's beauty is on the eyes of the beholder, right? Or something like that. I don't know. So. Don't get mad. Don't get mad. Let's move on because that was That was interesting. But we'll move on to another story called The English Teacher. Summer holidays had ended and it began. Oh, the summer holidays had ended and it was the beginning of a new school year in the Czech Republic. There was a young girl in Prague who did not want to go to school. Her name was Barborka, but her friends called her Bara for short. Although she wasn't the best student in class, she still managed to get some good grades and actually enjoyed learning new things. It wasn't the schoolwork that she disliked, it was teachers. No matter how hard she had tried to behave herself in the year before, she always seemed to get into trouble with the teachers in her school. Every week, something had happened that caused her to be the object of her teacher's anger and frustration. They would often make her stand at the front of the classroom, give her 100 lines to write, or punish her with extra work. It made Bara dread the thought of going to school, and she was worried that this year would be worse than last year. When she arrived at school on the first day, she was surprised to find that there was a new teacher in her English class. The English teacher was a woman in her 30s with a sour, humorless face. Her brown hair was done up in a bun, and she had a mole in her upper lip. But I hoped that the teacher would be different from the rest. After lunch on Friday, as she was going back to the class, Bada dropped her books in the hallway. When she bent down to pick them up, she noticed that the school janitor was staring at her legs and licking his lips. Whoa. She gave him a disapproving look and pulled her skirt down over her knees. Creepy old man, she murmured under her breath. Later that day, Bada was sitting in class listening to the English teacher ramble about grammar and punctuation. When a girl named Verunka raised her hand, the teacher stopped mid-sentence and pointed at the young girl. Verunka, do you have a question? She asked. Yes, miss, said Verunka. Why does your mole keep changing? The teacher appeared suddenly confused and flustered. What are you talking about? She asked. The mole in your face, said Verunka. They keep changing. On Monday you had one mole, but on Tuesday and Wednesday you had three. Now it's back to one again. All of the kids in the class began to laugh. It was such a bizarre and random question. Your eyes must be deceiving you, replied the teacher angrily. As you can plainly see, I have one mole in my face. Now, if you have nothing relevant to say, I would appreciate if you would refrain from disrupting my class, and keep your foolish mouth shut. Through the rest of the day, Bara noticed that the English teacher kept staring at Verunka. It seemed as if she was seething with rage. There was hatred in her eyes. At the end of the class, as the other kids were leaving, the teacher called Verunka over and told her she wanted to have a word with her. Bara was just relieved that this time, she was not the one getting in trouble. On Monday morning when Bara got to school, she noticed that there was one empty desk in the classroom. Verunka was absent. In fact, she didn't turn up for the school the next day, or the day after that. Bara began to wonder what had happened to her, but she asked around and nobody seemed to know. There was something else that was bothering Bara. She had to begin paying more attention in her class, in her English teacher's appearance, making detailed notes on the back of her book every day, and had noticed something very strange. The teacher's mole actually was changing. There was no doubt about it. On Monday, she had one mole, but on Tuesday, she had two. By Wednesday, it had gone back to one. But that was not all. When Bara consulted her notes, she found that on Monday, the teacher had been wearing a band-aid on her finger. On Tuesday, the band-aid was gone, but on Wednesday, it had returned. I do apologize for that. Bara had a sneaking suspicion that something very odd was going on. That evening, after the school finished, she decided to follow her teacher and found out where she lived. She unlocked her bike and cycled around the block a few times until she saw the teacher's car pulling out of the school parking lot. Bara followed the car, making sure to remain at a safe distance until they arrived at a small apartment building in the suburb. The teacher parked outside and uh, dilapidated in the dilapidated building, walking up a flight of stairs and disappeared to the front door. Bara locked her bicycle to a lamp post and was just about to go upstairs when she spotted the teacher coming out again carrying a large black plastic bag on her hand. The young girl quickly hid under the stairs and watched as the teacher came down. Then went behind the apartment to dump the rubbish. This is my chance, thought Bara. Gathering her courage, she ran up the stairs and slipped through the door before the teacher returned. She found herself standing in the kitchen of a small apartment. Looking around, she was shocked to see a woman sitting in the kitchen table with her back to her. From behind, the woman looked exactly like the teacher. Suddenly, she heard the sound of the knob of the front door turning. Looking over her shoulder, she realized it was her teacher returning from dropping off the rubbish. Bara just had time to climb into the kitchen, one of the kitchen cupboards and hid behind the woman before the woman saw her. Sitting in the cupboards, afraid to make a sound, the girl could hear the two women talk to each other in hushed tones. Then she heard footsteps approaching the sound of another woman's voice as she entered the kitchen. Peeking through the slats in the cupboard door, Bara could see everything clearly. There were three women sitting in the kitchen table. Bara could hardly believe her eyes. It was too shocking to believe. All of them were identical. Triplets? She thought to herself. Of course, it all makes sense now. That's why the teacher's appearance kept changing. The three of them must be working at the school in alternate days, all of them pretending to be one woman. That's insane. Just then, Bara saw a man walk into the kitchen. It was a school janitor. One by one, the woman stood up and hugged him tightly and kissed him on the lips. Okay, hold up. Hold up. Before we go on, the story is kind of long. Oh my god. I just hope I made the right decision. Okay, let's just keep going. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. They're all married to one man? They're bigamists. Bigamists. What would you like for dinner tonight, darling? Asked one of the teachers. Same as last time, replied the janitor. Breast or thigh? She inquired. A nice juicy thigh, said the creepy old man, licking his lips. Oh, I think I know what's happening. One of the women opened the door in the refrigerator, and Bara's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. She had to cover her mouth to stifle a scream. Hanging in the freezer was the dead body of a missing classmate, Berunca. Her hair was frozen stiff, and her eyelid and frost lined her eyebrows and eyelashes. There was a long, thick icicle dangling from her nose. Both of her arms and one of her legs had been hacked off at the point. Then, out of the corner of the eye, Bara saw the janitor suddenly sit bolt right up in his chair. His head was cocked at an odd angle as he held up to his nose and began to sniff like a dog. I smell something, he cried. I know that stench. It's the scent of a young girl. All four of them got up and began searching the kitchen, peering under tables and throwing open cupboards. Bara cowered in her hiding place, trembling with fear as she listened to them sniffing and snoring like animals, trying to catch her scent. Suddenly, the cupboard doors were wrenched open, and she saw the school janitor standing there, surrounded by three wives. He was drooling at the mouth and staring at her bare legs. Fresh meat, he cried, as he beat his chest with his fist and howled like a wolf. Fresh meat, echoed the woman. They started grunting like pigs and began leaping around the kitchen on all fours like crazy monkeys. Okay. The school janitor grabbed Bara by the hair and pulled her out of the cupboard and wrestled her to the ground. She tried to fight him off, but he climbed on top of her and pinned her by her shoulders to the floor with his knees. His wrinkled mouth opened wide, revealing crooked and misshapen teeth. Saliva dribbled down from his lips and splattered against Bara's face. She screamed in horror and shut her eyes. The next Monday at school, Bara's classmate noticed that she was missing. When she didn't turn up to class the next day or the day after that, they began to ask around, but nobody had any idea what had happened to her. None of her classmates could have guessed that as they sat listening to their English teachers drone on about verbs, nouns, and pronouns, Vara's frozen corpse was hanging in a bead locker at the teacher's apartment, and her severe limbs were in a spot, slowly simmering on the stove. Wow, that was interesting. That was very interesting. Ooh, I don't know what to say about it. Um, 3 wives, 3 identical wives, and one dude eating children. I mean, what can you say? It's pretty much self-explanatory at this point, right? I don't know, but with that being said, I'm trying to type something right now. Hold up. Okay. With that being said, guys, thank you guys for coming and watching. I really, really do appreciate it. It's an honor, pretty much. This has been episode 10 of the After Dark podcast, or 25. You know, if you're one of those people that keep counting from day one. 25 days. 25 episodes, and pretty much 5 more episodes until the season ends. And you know, I mean, wow. I don't know what to say, but thanks. That last story got me. Hold up. I mean, Jesus Christ. Seriously? Jeez. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter, you know, you can do so. The link is in the description right now. We can talk, chat, send memes, send pictures. You know, if you guys have any horror stories, scary stories, fables, or urban legends that you guys want to share, please do so. You know, please share. I would like to read them in the After Dark podcast, and you know, I'll give full credit to whoever sends them to me, of course. So don't despair. I do good. So yeah, the link is in the description. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, you can do so as well. The link is also in the description. And you know, to announce that today was the very first drawing a full picture. You know, if it's gonna be on video, it's gonna be sped up a little bit, and it's gonna be voiced over with like music in the background, of course. But if it's gonna be a live stream, it's probably gonna take me like 2 hours to draw. But if maybe less, I don't know. It all depends on what the picture is. But yes, so if you guys like the content that I make, you know, today I played Splatoon. Tomorrow, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, I don't know if I am gonna be playing Overkill's The Walking Dead, or I'll probably play Super Mario Maker. So whichever one comes first, right? I mean, I don't know. And also on Steam, there's also a little bundle that I'm probably gonna get, and it contains a game that I've been wanting to play for a long time, and I'm talking about a long time. So I'll probably even make a series of it, like a full let's play of it, and I'll probably do that like with video. You know what I'm saying? So that'll be like my first video that I would ever do, right? Jet Set Radio. So hopefully that happens. I need to find a good editing software thing, but you know, that's beside the point. So, movie recommendation time. Oof. Let me tell ya. I'm just gonna come straight out, like, okay. I recommend watching. You know what? Yes, I recommend watching One Missed Call. Okay, One Missed Call. I recommend watching, but not the American version, the original version. Okay, One Missed Call. In Japanese, it's called Hepburn. Oh no, Chakushin Ari. Alright, is a Japanese horror film directed by Takashi Miike, produced by Yoichi Arishige, Fumio Inoue, and Naoki Sato. And it's based on Chakushin Ari by Yasushi Akimoto. Its runtime, it is in 112 minutes, which is roughly like around like an hour. Let me see, an hour and 52 minutes, somewhere around there. And the original language of it is in Japanese, and it came out in Japan. Its release date was on January 17th, 2004. Now, reason why I say that this is the original, because then came the remake about the what's it called, about it with the same name. I mean, the remake's good, I like it, but watch the original one. There's always something good about the original. So one missed call, go watch it. You know, from now on, I'm going to be recommending foreign movies. So get your reading helmets on quick so you guys can read the subtitles, or if you know the language, good for you. Teach you, actually. I will let you learn more Japanese. So with that being said, guys, thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. And like I said, tomorrow, I don't know what we're going to play yet, but whatever it is, we're going to have fun with it. And on that note, make sure to always bring a flashlight. Never walk alone on an empty street. And always, I mean always, double check your surroundings, because you may never know who or what can be lurking after dark. Peace out, everybody. Have a great night and a safe